Talon, Walrein. Strong chances of Trev in the back, right? No? Oh, gosh. The question is, can I beat the Trev with my current lineup? Oh! Now we're in business. Yeah, I live it. Oh, man. That was an uncomfortable match. But we made it work. Hey everyone, so finally getting a little settled into my apartment, so hopefully the YouTube videos will be a little bit more consistent here on out. It's the week of Open Ultra League, and for sure you've probably seen a lot of very big heavy meta picks like Registeel and Tapu Fini, Galarian Stunfisk, Talonflame, Walrein, Trevenant, all those things being used quite a bit. I've been meaning to try a triple Flyers team for the longest time, and I finally have the XL candies needed for my Pelipper to try it out. So I decided to run a triple Flyers team with Talonflame, Pelipper, and Mandibuzz. And luckily, there is no Ultra League Bastiodon, but there is Aggron, and we actually do run into one of those in the footage today, so we'll take a look at that. But overall, a lot of fun to play, especially for those that are looking for a little less meta to play. Before we get into the rest of the footage, a big shout out and thank you to all my patrons who've been supporting my content creation. If you would also like to have early access on my strategies and lineups, or see behind the scenes footage of my battles, feel free to sign up in the link down below. Overall, this team is pretty fun, although there are definitely a few core breakers. A Tapu Fini in the lead is pretty brutal, in my opinion. I haven't actually run into one, but yeah, that could be a tough one for sure. Anyway, Pelipper as a safe swap is really solid. It's pretty much a preferred safe swap in almost every situation. Surprisingly, Pelipper actually does a little worse against Swampert than Mandibuzz does, so you probably want the Mandibuzz on the Swampert down the road. Registeel used to be walled off by Pelipper's typing, but with Zap Cannon it is much worse, and it's going to take a lot of damage. They did a great catch on the Registeel with the Hurricane, but they already are down a shield, so I could easily match. And I believe there's a party going outside, right outside my apartment, but that's fine. Talonflame, even though it has a shield of Zap Cannons now, it's still not terrible. And then we go in and we draw. After we draw the Registeel, now we have a pretty solid matchup. So this is the whole point of triple Flyers. You're able to bait out either the Walrein, the Steel type, so the Talonflame can finish it off, and then the Mandibuzz can sweep. I have the best buddy on the Mandibuzz just because you are using it as a closer, whereas Pelipper as a safe swap, you don't really need too much health on it because Pelipper in Ultra League is not amazing in terms of being able to flip switch advantage. Now, here's the thing. This is a triple XL team. If you don't have these Pokemon, there are a few things you can replace it with. Talonflame can be replaced with Charizard. Not nearly as effective, but it's a possibility. Pelipper, which most of you probably won't have, you can replace with Gyarados, which honestly in some situations might be better. And then Mandibuzz you can replace with a Pidgeot, which is also another XL Pokemon, but just a little bit easier to acquire, I think. Anyway, very close match there, but even against a bad lead hand after them catching a Hurricane, still able to make quite a bit of play there. All right, Talonflame here into a Walrein. Walrein very strong against the back line, so you pretty much just want to stay in and invest your shields and see kind of how it plays out. Whoa, okay. Kramer's off to the party too, I guess. So we're going to throw these Flame Chargers. It's going to do quite a bit after they have boosted damage. You could always go Brave Bird, but it kind of just doesn't seem to gamble if they shield. And even if they don't shield, it's not enough to take out the Walrein without any boosted attack. And sorry, it's a loud party outside. I'm going to farm this down with my Pelipper and with shields down. If they do have something like Registeel, you pretty much lose anyway, so at this point, you just have to hope there isn't one. And they actually come in with Gallade, and it's a Toxicroak catch. But Toxicroak is catching a Hurricane, which is probably not ideal. And then now we're going to draw out the Weather Ball. Weather Ball, unfortunately, it's not as good as it used to be post-nerf, but still solid enough to take out the Gallade right there. All right, now we're going against a Lapras. Also similar to Walrein, you kind of just want to stay in because you do not want your Mandibuzz on this Talonflame. However, The super effective surfs are going to be hitting a little bit harder than the icicle spears from the Walrein, but you can still do quite a bit, and you can still tank a surf. Talonflame is very, very solid in the meta, and so obviously in this situation it's no different. Now we have a really good matchup here, so we're going to come in with the Mana Buzz, resisting the Shadow Claws as well. This is a very, very strong matchup. And yeah, we're just going to do as much as we can here. Farm a little bit. Great catch from my opponent to catch a Dark Pulse on their Alolan Muck. You could always run Foul Play as well instead of Dark Pulse. I personally like the Dark Pulse more because it's a little bit more energy efficient. Does a little bit more damage as well. And Mana Buzz being a bulkier Pokemon, it's not going to hit nearly as hard with charge moves. So the extra damage from Dark Pulse, I personally like a little bit more. But you know, Foul Play is a little bit spammier, so that's something to consider. Movesets on Pelipper, you pretty much just want that to be consistent. And again, my opponent's swapping in and out here, doing everything they can to try to get advantage of this matchup, which is definitely helping. They do shield that Dark Pulse though, so that's quite nice. This next Dark Pulse is going to put him quite low, and my guess is that I will be close to farm down range with Snarls, and with these resist the Shadow Claws, you can do quite a bit. And they actually come in with the Muck to snipe down. Really solid play, but I'm going to farm down here and have Weather Ball, and they're going to concede there. So really well played by my opponent given the matchup they had, but I think unfortunately just the alignment was not there. All right, Gyarados. Not great. Quite a bad lead. So we are going to throw this Weather Ball here to get the bait, and we do, and now we go straight for Hurricane. Now they either go down a shield here or just completely lose switch advantage, and that's exactly what happens here. Now this is not great, and I can see why they didn't care about switch advantage as much, because both the Giratina and the Gyarados can beat the Talonflame, and they actually end up catching the Hurricane on their Gyarados here, and now they're switch locked too. I mean, this is not a bad situation for them to be in, and I'm actually okay with just letting this go, because I don't want them to farm too much off of my Talonflame there. And now we're in a good spot. Giratina into the Mana Buzz. Mana Buzz is going to do quite well here. Of course, like I said, Pidgeot does fairly well too, because you are resisting the Shadow Claws as well. But you kind of have to debuff yourself by throwing the Brave Birds to do enough damage. So I personally prefer Mana Buzz a little bit more. It's super, super bulky too. And the extra bulk really helps compensate for, you know, Pelipper, which is a little bit less bulky. All right, we can finish this off pretty quick with the Dark Pulse, and that is a GG. So, you know, even against bad leads like Gyarados, it's not too bad. All right, Cresselia here. Cresselia is, usually speaking, a very solid matchup. Sometimes it might have Future Sight. I don't think this one does. They threw the Moonblast pretty quickly there. I'm just going to go straight for the Brave Bird and see if they shield, and they don't shield, and now I come in with the Pelipper. You know, you could always stay in there, but the thing is, you could take quite a bit of damage from the Moonblast over time if you decide to go straight for the Weather Balls, and sometimes you need to just bait out something in the back that might be weak to the Talonflame. In this case, it's the Articuno. Pelipper's not terrible against Articuno, as you can see right here, but, you know, if this Articuno was matched up against my Mana Buzz, it would have been a different story, right? So, we get a little bit energy lead here, and they come in with the Swampert. So, Swampert, obviously very strong here. I probably could bait with the Flame Charges here, but I decided to go straight for the Brave Birds, and we grab both shields here. So, it's 2 shields down. I have 2 shields on my Mana Buzz here. So, Mana Buzz is in a pretty solid position, but I do have to shield one of these Moonblasts. And here is probably where I make a slight mistake. I probably should just throw in the Dark Pulse instead of trying to farm a little extra. Yes, this farm is nice, but I don't know if I get a ton of value out of this, so I'm going to throw the Aerial Ace to weaken it a little bit so I get a little bit more farm. Now, this is not a terrible spot to be in. I have some energy. I am against a Swampert, and I'm resisting all these Mud Shots. Yeah, Swampert is an absolute monster, especially in Ultra League. Looking at the health range here, you're like, there's no way Caleb can lose this, right? But Swampert throws those Hydro Cannons like it's nothing, and they get to another one. So a complete sweep by this Swampert in the back end here. Really well played by my opponent. Honestly, I probably could play that a little bit differently. I think just baiting with the Flame Charges would have been a huge improvement right off the bat. All right, so I am going to go straight for the Brave Bird here. Typically, I don't, but because they have a Galvantula lead, and Galvantula is a hard check to Pelipper and also a solid check to Mandibuzz, I really don't want to be in that matchup. So I am going to just stay in here and then go for the Hurricane. They're already down a shield, so if they want to go down 2 shields, that's fine. And they do, and we CMP, so that's huge for us. Because now we have 2 shield Talonflame, which is very, very strong, very deadly. I'm going to go straight for another Brave Bird here. Yeah, I just want to make sure I take this out, so I have my 2 shield advantage. And now I come in with the Mandibuzz. I get to the Dark Pulse first before I get debuff, which is absolutely huge. Because now these lunges won't do nearly as much. Discharge is super effective, but lunge is also neutral, and it's just a pretty solid move to throw in this moment in time. I'm going to just throw Dark Pulse. I don't want to farm too much because I don't want to get hit by another move. And it is a Scrafty. So I'm going to farm up quite a bit here, and then now I'm going to swap to my Talonflame. There's 2 things that this helps with. 1, I draw a lot of energy away with the foul plays, and 2, I clear my double debuffs, right? And so now I'm going to start throwing these aerial aces. Unfortunately, with Snarl, you're not doing nearly as much against the fighters. There's always an option to run Air Slash on the Mandibuzz. I personally don't like it in case I have to match up against like a G-Fisk in the back, or maybe even Registeel. Typically speaking, you lose a Registeel matchup, but with Snarl and some energy advantage and shield advantage, you might be able to flip it. But yeah, so anyway, still able to come out with a win there against a Galvantula lead. But yeah. Alright, and my opponent here is going to catch a Brave Bird on their Sylveon here. Kind of an interesting safe swap. Not really sure why they did this, but maybe they want to bait out a Steel type, which makes sense because they had a Talon lead. I'm thinking maybe they have Talon double Charm. I don't know. If it is, then we're in a tough spot. So I think I lose either way if that's the case. I know I could survive a Brave Bird, so I'm going to no shield. And they throw, and then now comes a Melmetal. This is not great. A Charmer would have been bad for my Mandibuzz, but this is not that amazing for my Mandibuzz either. And I am going to shield here and throw another Weather Ball. Let's see if they shield or not. And they finally do shield, so that's kind of big because now the Dark Pulse is going to be able to do quite a bit of damage here. But our Switch Timers are quite misaligned, and here comes the Talonflame here. So Talonflame is going to come in and do quite a bit of damage. Looks like I was going for the aerial A's. Hopefully I didn't press a button, and we did not, so that's good because now I can farm this down. If it's another Flame Charge, I know I live it just barely, and that is why you want your Mandibuzz best buddied. And we were able to finish it off. So even with the Melmetal on the back, no problem. Melmetal technically could beat everything on the team as well. Trevenant, this is a really solid lead for a couple reasons. Primarily because you have so many things that could beat the Trevenant. You have the Mandibuzz as a hard check. You have Talonflame that's a very solid check as well. And then you have the Pelipper that stays pretty even with it. If they throw Seed Bomb, you survive. And that's exactly what happens here. I'm going to throw the Weather Ball because I know I don't get to Hurricane. Maybe they miscounted, but they did not there. I think they had a little lag there, but I ended up lagging as well on my end, so it kind of cancels out. Here is the Aggron. And with SmackDown, and Aggron gets his whole team is not great for me. But let's see what we can do here. So we do throw the Aerials to bait out shield. And I think I go for Dark Pulse here just in case they no shield, because the Aerial is just going to do very little. And they double shield there. And then I'm going to get to one more Dark Pulse here. Does this take out the Aggron? Just barely, but now I finish it off with the Talonflame, and then they're going to concede right there. So able to beat a SmackDown Aggron in the back end. Really, a SmackDown Aggron against anything on this team you would think is really bad, but we were able to find a win condition there. So triple Flyers, you know, you could deal with rocks, no problem. It's pretty much the Ultra League Bastion there. All right. I like to drop a Brave Bird a lot of times and dip right over because you could draw out some things that might be weak to it. And now they come in with, what's this? It was Crest. Sorry, I knew it wasn't Venusaur. So this is okay. I'm building up to another Hurricane, and at this point, I'm just going to let it go. It ends up being a Grass Knot, and then they end up catching a Hurricane. It's kind of weird. This is the second Hurricane that people have caught against me in this video on a Pokemon that's weak to Hurricane. But, you know, maybe they expect, oh, okay, there's no play here against the Talon with Venusaur, so I'm just going to save the shields for the Cresselia. And they're running Future Sight Grass Knot Cresselia, which It's an interesting moveset, gives you coverage against the waters and Talonflame, but once you set Mana Buzz, that's bad news. And my opponent knew that, and they conceded right there. Alright. Nidoqueen, again, kind of neutral for everything, and they again catch a Brave Bird, but this time on a Drapion. I'm going to shield here because I expect to be able to farm this down, but I could not. So now I'm just going to throw the Weather Ball, and then they shield as well. So now I'm going to double shield. These Weather Balls are going to be pretty solid against the Nidoqueen. Unfortunately, I end up shielding an Aqua Tail. Did not really expect them to be running Aqua Tail Crunch, but I guess it's solid as a safe swap. And now they come in with the Scrafty, and we end up catching a Foul Play in the Mana Buzz, which is absolutely huge. And now we have a solid matchup against the Nidoqueen here. They're going to start debuffing, but unless they're running Stone Edge, I don't really have to worry about the charges too much. The Poison Fangs will definitely start hurting after a while, but I just need to take this out as soon as possible, so that way, yeah, I can get this locked in to the Scrafty. Here comes the Scrafty again. I'm going to start throwing some Weather Balls here. And it's going to get out their shield, which is big. At this point, if you look at the health of my remaining Pokemon, we're in a very, very good spots. They go Foul Play here, and then I finish it off with the Talonflame. Alright, Shadow Machamp. Shadow Machamp is actually not too bad against the team. It could beat Talonflame in 2 shield situations. It's got the Rock Slide for Pelipper, and it actually could beat Mana Buzz if you're running Snarl. So, not the best Pokemon to see, especially in the lead here. But we are going to shield twice here in case this Rock Slide ends up being double Cross Chop. So that's not good. So they bait us twice there, but we come in with the Pelipper and start wing attacking it down. And now it looks like we get hit by a Shadow Rock Slide. Just barely survive. Unfortunately, cannot get the Weather Ball off. But now we are going to come in with the Mana Buzz, which does quite well against Gyarados, because Gyarados can only throw Aqua Tails here. I can't, unless they really want to get risky and go for debuffs, throwing resisted crunches. But seems unlikely. And now they have a Mana Buzz, or they have a Obstagoon here. So this team is definitely not scared of running into Charm Leads, because that's definitely a tough matchup for them. But yeah, we are going to go straight for the Brave Bird here, and going to take it out, especially with shields down. And then now with a lot of entry on this Mana Buzz, we're going to start throwing these Dark Pulses. Again, Gyarados can really only throw Aqua Tail unless it's running like Outrage or Hydro Pump, which seems very unlikely. And knowing the health on Mana Buzz, I know that I survive an Aqua Tail, and we try to slow down, but we get to a move, so might as well just throw the move and take out the Gyarados. Alright, Deoxys Defense. This is an interesting one. A lot of Deoxys Defense are running Thunderbolt Psycho Boost in the meta. I still don't know, though, in case they're running Rock Slide, I want to shield. And this one is actually running Rock Slide, so that's actually really bad for this team. And so I'm going to swap out, and here comes a Regirock. So not only are we facing a Rock Slide Deoxys Defense, we also have a Regirock, which really is strong against this team. I know I survived one Stone Edge, so I'm going to no shield, and hopefully I can get off another Weather Ball or force him to throw another move soon. And they end up throwing the move, so I'm going to let it go at this moment, and now come in with the Talonflame and start farming. I definitely had to shield Stone Edge because this would definitely one-shot me. I am going to throw a Flame Charge here. I probably could maybe farm one more Incinerate, but you have to watch out for these Stone Edges. It's the fastest Stone Edge in the game, and we don't really want to risk it too much, especially with shields down. Alright, so now the Deoxys Defense ends up shielding and is able to take out the Talonflame here. And great catch by my opponent, actually. Bringing in Scrafty here against the Mana Buzz here. And I'm going to have to go Aerial Aces from here on out. But this is kind of tough. They have a decent amount of health still on that Deoxys Defense. And the Scrafty's Power Punches are starting to add up here. So let's see how much this Mana Buzz can take. Yeah, so we're going to go straight for another Aerial Ace. Was a little worried that they were going to catch the move on their Deoxys Defense. But here they, of course, have the Rock Slide, which is really good against the Mana Buzz. And just cannot get to that Dark Pulse. To be fair, I don't think the Dark Pulse would be enough to KO the Deoxys Defense anyway. If you'd like to try something a little less meta, then this team might be for you. It was a lot of fun to play. And turns out the party I thought outside was actually a workout class. So, you know, a party for some people, probably a little bit of torture for others. I actually started using another Ultra League team that I will be dropping tomorrow, so be on the lookout for that. But that team actually got me a 26-4 record. I went 4-1 5 times and 5-0 in my 6th set that I banked from the day before. Super fun team, so be on the lookout for that. And to make sure you know when that happens, make sure to turn on that notification bell and hit that subscribe button to make sure you don't miss that video. If you like this video, feel free to give it a like and share, and I will catch you all in the next one. Bye.